By the time Harun al Rashid took power, the Abbasid Caliphate had reached its physical limits. The immediate problem for the new caliph was no longer how to conquer new territory, but how to maintain control over what he already had. For centuries, rulers signaled their authority through lavishly decorated palaces, but al Rashid understood that a global superpower needed more than aesthetics. Intricate stonework doesn't feed armies, gold leaf won't secure trade, and mosaics won't stop rebellions. He recognized that to govern effectively, architecture had to be weaponized. He began designing structures to function as active instruments of statecraft. He pivoted away from the frivolous decorations of the past. In their place, he prioritized efficiency, heavy mass, and strict utility, an approach we can recognize today as a form of early Abbasid minimalism. Under his rule, architecture stopped being a collection of standalone monuments. It became an integrated urban operating system, engineered specifically to manage the mechanics of a global empire. The primary challenge was distance. Governing meant moving grain, troops, and tax revenue from the capital in Baghdad to the edges of the Levant in the west and the Khorasan region in the east. Trade routes radiated outward from Baghdad. The state engineered this network as a funnel, directing military and commerce through controlled corridors. The urban grid functioned as an advanced military forward operating base, positioning forces to strike into Byzantine territory at a moment's notice. To keep these centers viable, the state terraformed the landscape, cutting complex canal systems and building bridges to guarantee the agricultural yields required to feed a concentrated urban population. At the geographic level, this architectural system physically wired the empire together, ensuring that money moved and the military remained in position. Zooming in from the continental scale to the city level, the system's focus shifted to hard security. Baghdad itself was encased in a rigorously controlled defensive perimeter. Structures like this imposing brick gate acted as physical choke points, allowing the state to monitor and filter everything entering the capital. To achieve this level of fortification on such a massive scale, the empire standardized its primary building material, baked brick. By moving away from delicate stonework and relying on the density of endless brick walls, the Abbasids created a visual language of permanence. The sheer weight of the material projected state power that felt immovable. Standardizing these defenses turned cities into impenetrable vaults. The urban environment was no longer just a place to live, it was an active security apparatus. Once inside the walls, the state utilized protocol architecture. Interior spaces were engineered to control a visitor's experience through a strict spatial hierarchy. Visitors to the palace were forced to navigate vast, unadorned courtyards. The scale of these empty spaces was designed to make the individual feel isolated and small long before they ever reached the caliph. This same logic governed religious life. The grand mosques of the era adopted the hypo-style hall design, stripping away distracting ornamentation to create disciplined environments for religious, scientific, and social organization. Whether in a palace or a mosque, these spaces used scale and symmetry to strip away individual distraction, leaving the visitor focused entirely on the source of authority. To measure the true impact of Harun al Rashid's vision, we have to look past his own reign and examine the generations of builders who followed him. Decades later, the empire constructed the new capital of Samarra. The enormous spiral of the Malwiya minaret and its miles of enclosure walls represent the logical extension of al-Rashid's foundational principles. The scale of Samarra was possible because the empire had already perfected the template: extreme structural mass, modular brick construction, and strict utility over ornament. Harun al Rashid left behind the urban machinery required to manage a continent. His system kept the Abbasid state as the central pillar of the global economy for centuries. Ultimately, the survival of a global empire is not determined by its decorative arts. It survives on the efficiency of its